my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white. Yeah, it's black and white. We're just black and white. It's my black and white. It's my black and white scarf.
Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End podcast. It's season 5, episode 25. Well, we were treated to a thriller in Oriel Park tonight as Dundalk came out victorious 3-2 over Wexford. Well, tonight it feels like someone coming off the bench who's been injured for nearly a whole season, but finally gets their debut this year. Kieran, you're very welcome to the podcast. It has to be by accident.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has to be by accident, definitely not by design anyway, that you're finally on. And what a game to come in on, Kieran, too. 3-2 victory over Wexford, a badly needed victory too. How did you see it?
Do you know, it was one of those games I said in the middle of it, you know, I don't care how we win as long as we get the 3 points, but more importantly, it's kind of one of those games where I was kind of going, geez, is it going to be a game where we're going to win this ugly? And I think sometimes Dundalk have been kind of a little bit guilty of that this season, that we've tried to, you know, play the kind of game that Kieran wants to instill in his players, and it just hasn't paid off. Whereas it would be easier just to kind of, you know, take the shot and hopefully take the opportunity. And in this instance, I think we saw that this evening. There was a little bit more bravery, and there was a little bit, definitely a bit more power in our strikes this evening. But all in all, I have to say we did it was a much needed victory, confidence boosting wise, but because results went our way as well, in other games we've kind of gotten that little bit of edge at the top of the table. But I think in reality this has kind of been the best game that we've played in the past couple of weeks. And because we have been hit with setbacks, and then you can kind of see that, you know, there's been that kind of nervousness and that lack of confidence in the side. Whereas this evening, despite the fact that, you know, Wexford scored twice, we didn't capitulate. There wasn't kind of a house of cards moment where it all just fell apart. You know, we were very smart in our game plan, particularly near the end, where, you know, we started hitting the channels to try to hit those corners and stuff and see the game out. Like, that kind of game smartness is something that maybe we might not have seen at the beginning of the year, but you know, this team has grown in confidence. But all in all, it was an excellent victory and very, very much needed. And I think it was the perfect tonic after last week. Now, while I understand we were playing against Premier Division opposition, but we did show in that game as well that there is something about us, and we're not that far off. And I think we're starting to see glimpses of that. But I think now it's all about momentum.
Yeah, I suppose coming into the game, after having that defeat in Bray, defeat in the Cup, you know, Kieran was kind of fed up in what he said in his post-match for the past 2 games, kind of saying fed up of playing well but not winning. Yeah. So I think he took, you know, despite conceding those late goals, and I think the 3 points probably mean more than anything tonight.
Oh, absolutely. The 3 points was all that matters. I think 3 points is all that matters going into every game now. It doesn't matter whether you win 1-0 or 4-1, or as long as you get the win. And, you know, I think there was a little bit of a change up in how he was playing. So, like, there has been very much, I say both with the Ruby and with Vaughan who came on, there's now kind of that focal point up front, which shows that there's going to be games in which he's going to need that kind of strength up front. Whereas, you know, there's going to be other games in which he will have to use Dean Ebb for that, like, kind of that hold-up play that Dean does, and letting the likes of Darrell Horgan and Owen Kenny run off the angles and the channels. So all in all, I think Kieran is now kind of getting the idea of what he requires in different Division 1 games, because, you know, I was speaking to a player this evening, and he was saying that, you know, like, if they keep the momentum going, it's, you know, it's going to be perfect. But at the same time, you know, it's not about beating the likes of Cove. It's about getting the big results, you know, against supposed, not being disrespectful, but lesser sides that have taken points off us this year. It's about ensuring those victories as well as against the big teams.
Yeah, and I suppose then the other thing is, coming into the game, we knew at centre half things were really tight as it was, and Conor O'Keefe was, you know, after doing so well last week, was probably going to come back in again. He did, and then the big question on everyone's mind was, who the heck was going to play left back, because it seems destined now that Sean Keogh is for sure elsewhere. But I'll tell you what, like even when the team came out, I was still trying to work it. Is J.R. Wilson moved to left back, and is Dervin gone to right, or what way was this? But Shane Tracy stepped in, and I thought he had an immense game tonight.
Didn't put a foot wrong. Like in reality, but that shows the versatility of Shane Tracy as a person and a player, but it also shows that also how he is willing to step into a position that's probably unfamiliar to him in the team. And we have seen in the past that there have been players that have been put into positions and they look like a complete Bambi and it's a rabbit in the headlights kind of situation. Whereas the fact that both Shane and Kieran had faith in themselves that they were able to go and do a job there this evening, that shows, a very different mentality in this side and a very different mentality in the dressing room and the players that Kieran has brought in that we might not have seen in the past. So I think all in all, that's kind of the kind of team that you need in the first division, the kind of player that you need in the first division, one that's going to put their shoulder to the wheel and put themselves in a position that might be unfamiliar, but getting the job done. And I think once again, that back to what we were saying just a couple of minutes ago, between now and the end of the year, it's about getting the job done. Like we all know what the goal is, and considering everything that's gone on at Dundalk, and I know that I haven't been on this year, so there's probably a bit of reflection on that. Considering everything that's gone on this year, this is a brand new team, brand new manager. It's been incredible how we've done so well. Like a lot of people were tipping Lone Cove and ourselves to be in a three horse race, and we're there or thereabouts. And I think it's just something that probably is unexpected, but it was definitely needed for Dundalk this year. And I think at this moment in time, has probably brought in players that are quite similar in the ethos of what Stephen Kenny had, in that you're not only looking for good players, you're looking for good people. And that brings a good atmosphere in the dressing room and things like that. So I think that shows that what Kieran Hulduff has been looking for is that he's looking for characters as well as players. And I think he's gotten that in the likes of Shane Tracy and in many others that he has in the dressing room.
Yeah, look, and one person, I suppose, with another point to prove is Bemi Arubi. He constantly gets that nod up front, more recently with Kieran, and he never seems to disappoint either. And to come off to, a hell of a start like it was tonight, 2 minutes in, flicked, cross comes in, header flicked on by Owen Kenny, and there's Arubi just to prod it in then from the keeper's save. Exactly where you want your striker. Exactly, you want them to be the first to react to everything. And that's exactly what Bemi Arubi does.
Exactly. And like this has been something that we've probably, I've been saying, like I know there's been a lot of criticism about on the lack of goal scoring threats that we have had in previous games. But with Arubi, he's now become that focal point that I was talking about. And I think he just needed a first goal. Like I remember seeing him in preseason, he was playing out in the wing, and I was kind of going, I don't know about this now. He's been given the number 11. Like this is quite like he doesn't seem to be kind of suited out on the wing. But little did I realize that he was going to be a forward. And I've spoke to somebody, funny enough, this evening who said that like he was playing underage for Shelburne and was absolutely immense up front. And I think he's just grown in confidence, but he needed that first goal. And as soon as he got that first goal, which was the equalizer a couple of weeks ago, he's just blossomed. He's become, how would you say, the number 9. I know he wears number 11, but he's starting to become that focal point. That focal point, that striker that we needed. And look, you can see the type of goals that he scored. There was a poacher's goal, and then there was just the sublime afterwards. That shows the range that he has and the potential that he could become. Yeah,
well, talk about sublime. I said to Kieran in his post-match interview tonight, I said it was pretty much a strike that you would be envious of yourself. And he says, you could hear it the way you hit it. It's one of those things. Kieran struggled to decide which was the best volley tonight, but at that time it was the best volley in the match.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Such a clean strike. And I sit beside the same guy at football. I've been sitting beside him for years, and I just said to him, as soon as it left his foot, you knew it was only going one place. And it was in the back of the net. And but as I just said, that's the kind of player that you're looking for. Someone who's not going to take it down to try and place it or try and play it off. He had the confidence now, and he has the ability that he's able to take those kind of strikes on. And from outside the area, absolutely fantastic strike. As I said in a group chat this evening, you saw that on, like, you know, the Premier League. They'll be talking about it for a week. You know, it'll be on the newsreel, the whole lot and everything. But that's the beauty of our division, or the first division, or the League of Ireland at the moment, is that you see those kind of strikes and stuff like that, and they're magical. Like, and you could just, there was nothing the keeper could have done or the defense could have done to stop it.
Yeah, no, it's sweet as. I just jumped onto Instagram there, and I see Bemi's actually watching at the moment. So congratulations, Bemi! Hell of a strikes tonight, pal.
Thanks, pal. Well done.
I don't think you can vote for yourself for the pizza, mind
you.
Yeah,
you can. Of course you can. Go get that pizza. It's all good.
But yeah, no, like it's a great flick on by McDade, and it's one of them. You just be like, you know, you have that momentum. You're moving towards the ball. You wonder, can you get over it enough to keep it down and in? But no, he hits it so sweet, and it's probably what we deserve, that a 2-goal lead. You're very welcome, baby. You know, I think you know, I think we deserve that, to play how we were playing, and we seem to kind of brush off the shackles that we've had in the past few games, the frustrations, and you can feel that lift in Oriel also. It was like, finally we're edging out an opponent here. We're taking these chances that have come.
Yeah, I think that's maybe something that has gone missing a little bit from Oriel for the past couple of years, is that, I know it's been said time and time again, but like, there was a period at Oriel Park, there was two things that were certain. You knew the starting 11, and you knew that if there was a draw, it was seen as a crisis. And that is, it's an arrogance, but it's a good one, if that makes sense, because there's an expectation on how we are to perform in Oriel Park, because, you know, the whole cliche, if you win your home games and you draw your away ones, you're going to win the league, and, you know, all that. But at the same time, there was that expectation kind of waned in the club and with the supporters. But I think that's starting to creep back in, where there's now that connection once again with the side, but there's that connection with Stand and with the Shed as well, is that there's an expectation now that they're going to put in a good performance. They know this team is going to wear the jersey and is going to wear the badge for pride. And that is the one thing that you can start to see, that, yeah, I just think that we're on the cusp of something very, very special here, if we can keep the momentum going. But the supporters do have a huge say in this. And I do think that, look, if the Shed's clapping for you and the Shed's giving you a standing ovation, you're definitely doing something right. But they're being vocal as well, because they know that, you know, how do I say this? They know that the players are putting in their very, very best now. And that is starting to really show on the pitch. And I think the appreciation is shown on both fronts. Yeah,
I like Aaron McGorry on Instagram's trying to get a new chant going. Yeah, Arubinator. Yeah, Arubinator. So it's all kicking off on Instagram tonight, if anyone wants to join in. But yeah, I suppose the only disappointment you could probably take from the first half is that we didn't add more goals to that lead. I think McDade one that somehow just didn't cross the ball, and there was another one, I think, just Horgan ran out of legs just at the wrong time.
Just at the wrong time,
Yeah, he was just getting to the byline and just kind of ran out of pitch on it. But still a 2-goal lead at halftime, and I think we were very good for that lead also.
I think we were very comfortable at that stage, and Wexford hadn't, like, there had been maybe one or two opportunities where, you know, Enna Minogue was a bit late to come out of his line, and then there was that other opportunity just before halftime where I don't know if the word poleaxed is the right word, but he definitely had a clash with the Wexford forward, and it resulted in a couple of minutes. But, you know, necessarily we didn't feel overly threatened by Wexford, but at the same time, you would have went in and said, you know, like some of the comments that I heard in the stand was, oh yeah, we're doing fine, but we need another. And that's exactly what we needed. We did need another. And that's something that it's just that kind of safety net of a third goal. They all like, I'm full of cliches this evening. 2 goals is always a dangerous lead. But at the same time, I think we were very comfortable in our position. So I do think that Stephen Elliott did change his tactics in the second half. He did make changes. And that's what resulted in kind of, you could see even the way that they were setting up the kickoff, it was very much like they would hit the ball long so that they could press up very high on the from the throw-in. That was something that obviously they had worked on. They kind of saw that maybe there was a weakness in the fullbacks from the throw-ins, that they could press up and kind of try and contain them in those kind of areas, that attack and third. But it did result in a concession of a goal early on, but I didn't feel at any stage that we were going to capitulate, which is great, because in other seasons you would have been sitting there going, oh, they're just going to fold now.
You brushed over that one fairly quickly. The poleaxing would end it. I mean, with Dave McMillan on co-coms and Adrian Taff on comms, they weren't too sure that the offside flag may have been correct. It's real touch and go, is what I will say. Real touch and go.
We watched it back totally offside. Chris, come on now. No, I think it was
3-4 times. It was but you got to take the rub of the green on some of these.
Oh, listen, sometimes I think one of the things that's been said is that you do, when you're down in your luck, you really, really are. But I think at the moment we're kind of just getting those little 50-50 decisions, and on a different night, it could have been flagged for, offside, or it could have been allowed play. You just don't know. But I think the referee made a good call. Well done, referee.
Oh, he definitely made a good call. So we get in at halftime. We're leading, pretty much in control of the match. Mohammed Harris comes on at halftime. Of course, we remember him. But we remember him probably also in pre-season, where he got a couple of run-outs there. Didn't quite find a way to break into a first team, but he found a way to make an impact in Oriel Park tonight. And the most disappointing thing is it's a simple ball over the top, and it's not one that then they will want to watch back.
No, I think there was a miscommunication between himself and the defensive line, which kind of led to that kind of gap for Mohammed Harris to go in and kind of toe poke the ball past him. It is something that we will have to, that's something that maybe Enda and the defense will need to look at going forward, is that there was kind of a close call in the first half, and then there was the concession of the goal in the second half. Maybe it's just something, maybe they're not heeding the audible calls, or maybe they're just not communicating clearly. Either way, it's just something that maybe they need to look at, and Kieran and the management team will need to look at going forward, is that, they need to be very, very decisive and very, very confident in their calling of who's going to get the ball, who needs to clear it, and how so, because you don't want to have a situation in which that could happen again.
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Enda, I think he kind of held up his hand post-match and to the lads and apologised to them as well. Like, it's one of them things when you're a keeper, if you make a mistake, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
the whole world blames you. Yeah,
it's so critical, and your last line of defence. So when something like that goes in, you're absolutely goosed. And to be fair, he didn't let it rock him for the rest of the match. I think that's the most important thing. And he, with Vinnie Leonard, who I think the ball came over between the two of them, kind of brushed it off and got back on with their partnership there in defence. And I think that's credible to the lads, considering how young a lot of these lads are as well. You do forget. It seemed like for a while straight after that goal, we seemed to be a little rocked. The fluidity, I think, that we've seen in the first half in our play seemed to be missing as well. They made a couple of changes, changed formation as well to accommodate Harris as well. And I think that kind of rocked us for a little. It took us a while to get to it, and to the point where I think Kieran and Ken decided, the best thing to counteract that maybe is a little change of formation ourselves. And that was when Andy Parashef then and Keith Ward actually came in. And what an impact Wardy makes then. He's got them in his locker, though.
He definitely does. But just to kind of reiterate on a couple of other things, I think what has also been very pleasing is that we in the transfer window we've signed J.R. Wilson and Declan McDade, who are two extremely experienced players, and that has been crucial for us because we really I think that's something that maybe we've been lacking, is those kind of experienced heads in the squad that will kind of help those young players like Parashiv to come on. And then you're asking on Keith Ward to come in, and Keith Ward is a serial winner. Like he's won everything that needs to be won in the league. He's an excellent contributor, and he still has that contribution in him. And the goal was absolutely fantastic. But the one thing is that he draws an awful lot of attention in the sense that he's able to pick up the ball and lay it off very, very quickly. He's got an excellent eye and vision, and he's also got a great line of passing. So that is something that maybe Wexford weren't used to. But in relation to Wexford, yes, they had to change their formation to accommodate Mohammed Harris. But the other thing was that I think there was a little bit of confusion over who was picking up who, which meant that a couple of our defensive players were drawn kind of a little bit too far, which meant that one or two had to drop out, another player had to drop in. But that happened for about 4 to 5 minutes, which did lead to a bit of a breakup in the fluidity of the side. But as soon as they got resettled and restructured, I think we kind of got a grasp on the game again. And that's when the introduction happened with Keith Ward and Andrei Parashiv. I can't speak highly of Andre. I think he's an absolute jewel of a find. He's an absolutely brilliant player. I think he's only going to get better. And I think playing alongside Keith Ward, Daryl Horgan, Declan McDade, he's only going to get better because they're going to instill a confidence in him, but also they're going to kind of give him that experience kind of talking to and stuff like that during games. I think he has shown for his age great maturity and strength. And I think, I'm actually surprised Bohemians let us sign him, because I'm actually quite surprised. I think he's kind of someone that I would have earmarked that would have been very suited to the likes of Bowes, but thank God we got him, because he's going to be one for the future, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely one of them. Once he gets on the ball, you're kind of off your seat. You never know what could come there. But on Wardy's goal, I think it's one of them. If it's anyone else but Wardy, you're like, I'll take a touch. Open up the goal to yourself, but not Wardy. I'm just going to hit this. I know exactly where it's going. Like I said, he tends to pull up one or two of these years. He's got 2 goals already this year, from the free kick, of course, down in Kerry only a few weeks ago. So, like Wardy's still chalking up the goals, and every one of them bangers.
Yeah,
he doesn't score.
Wardy doesn't do tap-ins. We just know this at this stage, But it was just an absolutely fantastic strike. You could once again, I said to Anthony beside me, I said, look, you just knew he was going to hit it, and it absolutely rifled into the back, and the keeper didn't have a chance. It was just an absolutely brilliant match-winning goal for us. But once again,
back to that 2-goal lead as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, because it gave you the kind of that little bit of reassurance at that stage of the game. Because I think we had been kind of under the cosh a little bit since the concession, and it was always going to take something special to kind of pick the lock of Wexford after that, because they were kind of very sound defensively. So I just think that we were just needed that kind of worldie, so to speak, worldie from Wardy, in order to put in the back of the net. And, it just kind of gave that reassurance then, because we had that 2-goal cushion. And, look, you can't speak highly. It was just a class shot. It was just brilliant. On a night where we got worldies, we got 2 of them.
Yeah, they're like buses. You got one cracking volume, and then suddenly you get another. Then is it disappointing that to go and concede another goal then late on, to put it like I said, kind of post match, it's typical Dundalk this year that we managed to put ourselves under pressure, because I think both goals were very defendable tonight. And yet somehow we concede them. We managed to put ourselves under that pressure. I know we overcome it tonight, but it's just typical the way this season has gone. It's typical the way Dundalk are gone this year, that we go and concede just when it looks like we got the game back in control again. We go and allow another goal to sneak in at the back to really put pressure on and give it a grandstand finish.
So I said to my dad, we don't do things easy, what I mean? We really don't. But that is something which has become kind of a staple of what the first division has been like this year, is that it's very, very unpredictable. Like it's just become, you know, the predictability of things is just not there. And, you know, Stephen Elliott is a very shrewd coach and is excellent in, you know, you could see that he set up his team in certain set pieces and attacking phases that he knew that he was hitting certain weak spots that he had identified in Dundalk. And the goal from Mikey Rowe was excellently, it was so well taken, because it was kind of a looping ball in. It was kind of there for, if Mayoa was playing, that it would have been just for him to rise up and clear the ball away. But, you know, Mikey was able to get space and time on the ball and was able to hook it past Denham Minogue. That's kind of
exactly, you want to cut out the cross. You want to be first to the second ball. And then we didn't win the third ball either. That's going to be the most disappointing thing.
Absolutely. And it was a defensive clearance that should have been taken care of before it even got to that back post. That's something that just, you know, because you're kind of to the bare bones on the defensive line, that's exactly the kind of goal you're going to concede, unfortunately. But at that stage, we had gotten the job done. But I think Dundalk, as I said, changed tactic then. As I said earlier on in the programme, where they were able to hit the channels, try and close the game out. They weren't trying to hit a fourth. They weren't trying to get themselves exposed where they could be hit on the counter-attack. They were very smart in their approach. And that, once again, comes from the likes of McDade and Wilson saying, lads, just kind of tighten in and, we're still just hold on to the lead now. And that's something that we'll need to do before the end of the year, because we are going to have these kind of games. Like, you know, we've seen now with some of the results that have come in this evening that, like, you know, Finn Harp's taken a point off Cove. Like Cove would have thought that they were going up to Ballybuffet and coming home with the 3 points. Like, it's just unpredictable season at this stage. And at this stage, Dundalk, once again, as I said, it's all just about momentum, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I still felt comfortable that we could see the rest of the game out, but there was a few heart and mouth moments, especially when I start seeing that long throws being wound up again, because I've seen enough of them in this first division as well. But to make sure we finally did overcome it, get all 3 points, I think that's the most important thing tonight. Yeah. We can take lots of other positives, you know, our goal scorer going and getting 2 tonight, Wardy coming off. But I just think 3 points, like I say, when you reflect back and you look at other results tonight as well, it's the first time where I think that we've taken advantage of other people slipping up on points. Like we've seen Cove do this before, but, you know, we've tend to also slipped up at the same time, and it's just been neck and neck. But it's the first time that we've been able to really put that extension of our lead in, and it seems crucial, even though we still 12 games left. It feels like an important win tonight.
A 6 point gap at this stage of the season is exactly where you want to be, because for Dundalk, it's about maintaining that and, you know, hopefully building on it. But for at this moment in time, a 6 point gap starts to look like a bit difficult for the chasing pack, you know, and they're going to be sitting there saying Dundalk are just flying. They're really getting results. They've bounced back from 2 defeats. You know, they could have, like, there was at one stage where the ball came into the back post and Denham Minogue, I don't think he read it. And it just looked, I said, oh God, that's going to hit the bounce and that's just going to go into the corner there. And it didn't. And that's that kind of bit of luck that you need at this stage of the season. But it's very much now, you know, I said this to you off air, like, you know, it seems to be like a division that nobody wants to win because we're all slipping up at different stages. But at this stage, you know, we're currently on 52, Cove are on 46, and Bray are on 43, and UCD are on 36. Like, I mean, that's starting to become a bit of a gap that's going to make teams struggle. And there's going to be seeds of doubt now. Well, do UCD just settle for the playoffs? Do Bray as well? Cove now know that another slip up and it could be like nearly curtains. So they now know that they're going into a tough series of games where they're playing like Longford and Wexford both at home. But Longford are looking to try and get onto a bit of momentum, and Wexford are looking to respond from tonight's defeat. So in reality, I think that Cove now know the pressure is on them and not on us. because they have to chase. And I think that that's going to be vital, because when you're the one that's part of the chasing pack and when you know that the pressure's on you, Mick McDermott and his side now know that they can't afford any more slip-ups, whereas Dundalk, it's just, let's just keep winning.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, it's the chasing versus, like, it's a bird in the hand sort of a thing. I know what I'd prefer to have, and that's the points on the board and the position on the table, rather than trying to chase them down and looking for the extra help elsewhere, and also still looking over your shoulder. Like you say, it's a far from ideal situation. We'll come soon to our man of the match competition. It's probably, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty much a landslide in one direction.
Who would have thought?
But there's a few honourable mentions in here as well. A shout out for O'Keefe for a real solid performance at the back. A couple for Shane Tracy, which I think like a real solid performance from Shane Tracy tonight. And a little slip from Kieran. I'm sure he said it to the press as well. So, he's signed a professional contract today as well. So what a way to mark. If that's the performance we get from him when he signs a professional contract, that more please, Shane.
Oh,
is what I would say. Also, just a quick mention for Owen Kenny's build-up in the first two goals where he's involved, a direct setting up, I suppose, for the first one, and then just whether there's a flick, it's hard to tell, but he's definitely occupying defenders in front of Ruby to get the volley off as well. So, I thought Owen, in particular in the first half, I thought he played really, really well, carried the ball well too. I'm probably unlucky with his header not to get on the score sheet, but great to see involvement from that. Kieran, I'll come to you now, and if anyone else wants to get in on it, now is your time before we pick for yourself who stood out the most.
It's only one man, it's a Ruby. I thought he led the line extremely well this evening, and he fully deserved the man of the match. And I think he was a little bit taken aback when he came off this evening. There was a standing ovation in the stand. He kind of looked up and was a bit perplexed at this whole situation. But as I said to you, Dundalk fans are always very appreciative of someone who works hard for the team, and long may it continue. He was absolutely excellent this evening, and on a personal note, I'm absolutely delighted for him, because I have met him on one or two occasions. He's an absolutely smashing lad, and I just hope that this continues. Yeah,
I think everyone's agreeing. Just having a quick check on Instagram and everything. Yeah, 100% for Ruby. He hasn't voted for himself, which says a lot about him. I'd be intent to agree as well. I thought a really good to be given. In a real important match, he went with as well. When we now have strengthened in that forward area as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I think Remy kind of went out and showed his class tonight, with very different goals, but also showing the repertoire, probably what's in his arsenal as well, and that's good to see. So for ourselves, for the competition, so Conal Megan was first in. I think we'll give it to Conal as well. So congratulations, Conal. There is a 15-inch pizza in Tony's Pizzeria from Vinny and the lads on us. So just get in contact with Vinny there, and there's a pizza on for us. And thanks so much for getting involved. Of course, we had a debut as well tonight, Kieran. So Rowan Vaughan coming off the bench, and he definitely had a debut to mark, in our memories. It's one, I suppose, in the back of his mind, with the delay last weekend in not getting through clearance to come and play in the cup match. I'm sure he was chomping at the bit, literally, to get on the pitch. And when he came on, he wanted to make a massive impact. Probably, 2-3 weeks later, you don't see this, but the clatter into the keeper had made me giggle. Ball over the top, never going to win it, yet still took keeper and all out with him.
I think what's the phrase? Let him know you're there. It was a definite one of those moments. Look, reputationally, he comes in from QPR, and I think that they've sent him out here for experience. From what I've seen online, they speak very highly of him, and look, he's once again, he's a big focal point, and he looks extremely strong and a very fast kind of paced striker, something that will definitely add to the element coming into to the final end of the season. But the one thing that that's certainly going to be put to the test is going to be centre backs are going to really be tested about how strong they're going to be able to hold on to him, because he seems to be quite a strong character, and but he was chomping at the bit, and he does want to make an impact. I am looking forward to seeing more of him, to be quite honest with you, and seeing what he can contribute to the side. It's an exciting prospect, because I think because we have such a young team, there might be an accusation a little bit that there's a little bit of lack of physicality amongst the side, whereas I think he brings that kind of little bit of element to it. So absolutely, I think it was a very good signing for us. But it's hopefully it works out, and hopefully it works out for him as well, because I think he's looking forward to the experience of playing over here in the First Division.
Yeah, I think Helen there called him he looked like a right unit. I think that's probably a fair assumption of him. And Jason Crowley there saying, you look like a young Dave McMillan. I can see that in the stature, maybe from a bit of a mix between him and Pahubin in a mix in there somewhere. But yeah, he looks like an energetic player to come off the bench. And then just Mark Harlan then just saying as well, Tracy class tonight. Probably a Ruby though for man of the match. Kenny justifying the upset at being substituted. I think he was right. I think he had a lot of impact as well. But I think perhaps maybe it was just to Dean Ebbe, and that kind of came on at that stage, maybe just to try to see it out a wee bit. And to be fair, his hold-up play in the corners between him and Andy Parashev probably just made sure that we killed enough time down the right end of the pitch just to get us over the line. But yeah. Look, I have no problem with someone being upset as well with being substituted. Just to go back to Mark's comment as well, like there's, I'd be annoyed if I seen someone being substituted and we're delighted, because I wanted players.
We saw it a couple of years ago in Pahobin's second term. Stephen Kenny took him off in the game, and he was absolutely furious. And Stephen was like, "Yeah, he can be upset. That's absolutely fine. He has a right to be upset," and Owen does as well. But that shows he cares. That shows that he wants to be, on the pitch, and he wants to. If you're coming off and you're just kind of shaking hands and sitting down and just accepting that, then you'd be kind of worrying about people's hunger and desire and stuff like that. I don't think that's in Owen's locker. I think Owen is very competitive, and he's very kind of assured in his position, and he believes that he should be playing out to the 90. And Kieran obviously made the tactical decision based on what he was seeing out on the pitch, and justifiable, absolutely. And you know what, you'd be kind of glad that he was in a position in which he felt upset, because that shows Owen understands what this club is about, and absolutely he's every right to be upset.
Of course, Kieran, we're coming into a double header weekends. These can definitely make or break your position, in particular in the league, and how your outlook looks, because you could come into this and it can be buoyant with confidence, or it can go the other way very, very quickly. First up is UCD away, a place that UCD like a good victory again tonight for them on the road down in Kerry. But it's always been a tricky venue, and they look to have kind of steadied the ship somewhat at UCD over the past few games. It feels to me that you're kind of hitting them at the wrong time, and any game in the bowl is never an easy match either.
The other thing is they're finished their finals, and they're finished their exams for the year, and the focus is primarily on one thing and one thing only, and that's football. And I say probably when we hit them earlier on in the season, they're currently studying, and they're currently coming into their, whatever exam periods that happens in the colleges. Whereas now they don't have to worry about that. So the ship has been steady, probably because they're no longer fatigued, or they're no longer focused on other things. They can just focus on football, and they're looking to try and hit those playoff spots and try and secure one of them. So absolutely, it is probably the wrong time to be meeting them, but at the same time, there's a couple of good things. Their pitch has been improved. So it won't be a bit
compared to last time we were there.
Compared to the sandbox that we had to play in the last time. So, and I fully believe this team reaches its potential when it plays on a grass pitch. I'm very I understand the field turf. I get it, all that, but I just think that this team plays really, really well when it's on a grass pitch. And I think that UCD pitch will absolutely suit them. So we might get to see them even rise up another level. But at the same time, the momentum, once again, this is about just, winning and getting the results. And I do think we have enough. But, you've got Ronan Finn there who's been around the block. He knows everything about Dundalk. So he'd be wanting to kind of get his one over. But like this UCD team they are just an absolute and utter academy for League of Ireland clubs. They just seem to be producing brilliant players again and again and again. So we are kind of hitting them at the wrong time, but I do think we have enough in our locker to get the job done.
Yeah, and of course, then we finish that out on the Monday. Then at home to Longford, and Longford play Cove on that Friday night before, and then Cove are 2 games at home, and so it's a home to Longford and at home to Wexford. So I think, well, at least Wexford proved tonight that they've enough to put it up to anybody as well. So it won't be anything easy. Much like the Longford match won't be anything easy for ourselves, because if anything had proved, if it wasn't for a moment of brilliance from Andy Parashev and Owen Kenny last time we played them, it'll show you exactly how close these games can be.
Absolutely. And the other thing about Longford, they're 2 tough away games for them. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of traveling and stuff like that. So they'll want to be looking to try and get something to take back down to Bishopsgate. So, the Longford have been kind of, I would say that they will feel that they've been very disappointing this season. And I think they're looking to get their second half of the season up and going, and nothing better than getting a victory against the league leaders. So you'll take nothing for granted, because, as I said, this league is completely unpredictable, and Longford will definitely not lie down. Like, we have seen this both in the Premier Division and in the First Division over the past number of years. They love playing against us, and they love putting it up against us. So, it did take a moment of magic from Paraship to pick the lock the last time. So I would say that it's going to be much of the same. They're going to look to be very, very well organised. They're going to look to try and hit us on the break and to punish us if we advance too far forward. So it's definitely something which we're going to have to be aware of.
Yeah, exactly. Kieran, I think we're nearly there. We've kind of gone around the houses. We've done all our homework, and we've done as much as we can. Just a quick note, just to say thank you to anyone who was able to get involved and purchase this year's shirt. I know sales were great. So I suppose that's with Player Fit now, and they have to do their job. And then everything will be out in the post to everyone from there. But if anyone watching or listening was in a position to purchase that, I just want to say thank you so much. It means a lot to us, and obviously we pass everything over then to Donald Green and to Dundalk Village for the work that they do in Uganda as well. So it's all for a great cause too. But Kieran, you just wanted to just note it's a special day today as well.
Yeah, it's actually tomorrow. It came up on my Facebook memories this morning that tomorrow will be 5 years since the passing of Harry Taff, and it's always kind of difficult around this time of year, because you kind of remember, and for such a mountain of a man and such a brilliant person that he was, it just still feels so weird that he's no longer with us. And look, anybody who knows me, I had a very good relationship with him. I have a very good relationship with the Taff family, and it's just been, it's, you always think about him, and you always think about him around this time of the year. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I say he would have loved this year. He would have loved the madness and the whole, the banter around it and everything. But he was an absolute giant, and it's always very, very weird to think that the Head in the Game project, which has come from it, they raised an awful lot of funds last week, and I want to say congratulations to them. But the fact that a mental health charity based on Harry is just absolutely fantastic. But to think that Harry was struggling behind the scenes with his mental health just was completely, alien to me, because I never thought about it. I never thought about him like that. So The only thing I'm going to say is that, like, we've seen it recently in the news and stuff like that, there has been a lot of tragedy in Dundalk and the surrounding area in recent weeks in relation to people and their mental health, and just to reach out and just to say, look, folks, there's anybody that's out there that's listening, whether it's now or whether it's a repeat on the podcast, if you're struggling, if you feel that there's something that, is bugging you, there is plenty of resources out there. Please reach out, please talk to someone, and just know that you're not alone in all of this. And, there are people there that will be back you and support you, just like Harry would have done. So just to say that, thinking of the Taft family and thinking of Harry at this time, and hope wherever he is, he's cheering us on.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's very poignant. I think, especially after a victory tonight, and everyone's on that high, to just have that in the back of their minds. And I suppose if Pingu or Steph and that was on, like, they would say, if there is anyone struggling, there is help and resources on the Head in the Game website. So, if that resource is of any benefit to you, do jump on and check those out. Kieran, thank you so much for tonight, on a night where Dundalk got back to winning ways, where it felt like we needed a big win, and a big win came with 2 goals, possible 2 goals in the season in the one match. That's how Dundalk do things. Till next time, come on to town.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and